Welcome back, everybody. This is episode 36 of the Next Generation of Superstars podcast. We're very grateful to have Jose Cheris here, who is the kicker at Central State University. He's originally from Atlanta, Georgia, and we're very glad to have you on the show today, man.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So kind of tell all of us how you, really got into the sport of football, how you really found your passion from growing up.
Growing up, I never really held or kicked a football at all. I was really always just a soccer superstar, I guess you could say. Coming from a Hispanic, Mexican household family, football is not really introduced like that. So for me, it was always soccer since day one. Getting into my freshman year, I remember one of my buddies, he's still a close friend of mine. He introduced me to the sport and said, "Hey, do you want to come out and play football for a high school team?" I was like, "Not really, I'm sticking to my game." But, I gave it a shot. I was pretty successful my freshman and sophomore year. But I think when I clicked in, when I really had my passion for football was my junior year. Going into a junior year, you start seeing that big boy playing time. And then I get hurt going into the playoffs. So the biggest thing for me was how I was going to bounce back and how I was going to attack the next season going into my senior year. I started seeing my friends get offers and all like big offers, whether they was big or small, you want one at the end of the day. So I remember my coach telling me, just how bad do you want it? And I think that's when it clicked in, I found my passion for the sport. I found the love for the sport, the late nights at the gym, early mornings in the field, all summer workouts, that's really when it clicked in. The therapy sessions were crazy once I tore my MCL and my meniscus. So, yeah, that's when I found my passion for sure.
That's awesome. And kind of like talk more about how you really, came back from that injury, right? And then you found that motivation, from your coaches, but really, just the setback of having an injury. And I think a lot of athletes can relate to that. Where did you really find that motivation to come back stronger and really, be able to take your game to the next level?
I could say it was an aspect of the fact most kickers don't suffer those type of injuries, like meniscus or MCL. So my injury was I seen it more as a minor injury. Like it was pretty bad, especially being the kicking leg. I lost mobility, I lost flexibility, I lost strength, I lost like a lot of muscle on my leg. So really, when I say the passion really came in, I mean, it truly did come in when I was going through it. Like we have this thing called where I live, PT Solutions. They do a lot of rehab and therapy for all athletes. I remember those days I really couldn't bend my knees. I had one of my cousins always drive me to my therapy sessions. My parents always being at work, trying to provide for me, so he always helped me out. He's seen the struggles. I would cry in there because it hurts. It hurts.
Yeah.
And that was really it, man. I had to come out and work my way back up. It felt like I had to learn how to play football again. It really felt like that. So that's really where passion came in.
100%. And it all pays off, right? You see that there's so many, professional athletes that have had those injuries and setbacks and they can come back stronger and really make that difference that you're doing right now. Has there been, besides your coaches that you've had in high school, has there been other mentors or people that have been, played a huge role in really helping you sharpen your craft in the game?
Of course, Coach Blankenship. I don't know if you know him. His son is Rodrigo Blankenship. He's a former UGA kicker from my state of Georgia. Yeah, he really got with me one time. My high school coach helped me get in contact with him, Coach Arnside. He helped me get in contact with Mr. Blankenship. And every summer when I come back home, or before I even went off to college and took my first college snap, he was there for me. He was the one recording. He was the one telling me everything. He was never a kicker. He was never a punter. He said, kicking is all about physics. It's all physics. He said, how bad your leg can bend and how your knee can swing, your foot follow through. Everything is physics when it comes to kicking. And that's the beauty of it, for real. He taught me what nobody ever taught me when I was supposed to get taught that first, I felt. So meeting him was very high standard for me. And then obviously when I was still in high school, his son was in college, and recently he went to the NFL.
Yep.
So even now we get back together and we both be kicking it back at home.
That's awesome.
He teaches me. He learns from me. He says he learns from me as well, new things. I don't know if it's true, but hey, I'll take it.
I love it. I love
But
it, man.
those are two important factors of my life that I could say for sure. They're great people. They're great mentors, and I could always carry them with me for sure.
100%, 100%. And Jose, kind of going off that, has there been any, particular players in the NFL right now, whether they are a kicker, a punter, or a different position that you kind of look at as someone that's a role model to you, that you kind of want to model your game after?
Um, I wouldn't say I want to model my game after anyone for real, because I always want to be the standard and the
Right,
people who want to be. Oh, I want to be like him.
right,
But I could for sure say 100% Rodrigo Blankenship. Like I just mentioned, he's been a real mentor. He's been the person who I look up to when it comes to kicking. However, I hope one day when people see this, they could say the same thing about me for sure, though.
100%. I love it, man. I love it. And kind of just going a little bit further of just, I think sports teach everyone so many life lessons and skills that you can kind of translate to other aspects of your life. Has there been a few that stick out to you that you've learned, that's kind of helped you as you kind of continue to grow in the game of football?
Of course, my freshman year, my first like freshman year, right off the bat in college, I was going pretty decent, solid for a true freshman. Playing in big games, O State, playing in that stadium,
Yep.
everything was amazing. But going towards the middle end of the season, I got hit pretty hard in my like chest area where I had a heart condition,
Oh,
and
wow. That's not
yeah,
good.
yeah, it was pretty bad for me. So I had to miss out the last 3 games of my season. It was pretty hard for me. We didn't make it to playoffs. We ended up, we weren't scoring with the feet, the leg, the kicking leg. So
Right.
to me, it was really like it was devastating. But at the end of the day, overall that I took was that football could really be taken away any moment in life. But it all depends how once again how you're gonna bounce back, how you're gonna attack the field again, how you're gonna attack that mental health again. Because it's
Right.
so much more that comes to it. But at the end of the day, you got to do what you got to do to stay at the top. But
100%. And everything's good with you though, with your chest and heart and all
oh
that
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, everything's good.
Okay. Good.
I had to get back on it, like I said.
Yep. Yeah. No, and I think the perseverance and really the the determination, the hustle, the mindset, everything. It's just it's so huge. And what's kind of helped you and your teammates, the most with the mental health component, and how you really go about that. Because like you guys, being an athlete, you have to train physically, all the time, but also the mental aspect is so important, especially when you have, you're in an away game, you have all those fans that are, booing you and all that kind of stuff. How do you
Correct.
really get in your own zone and then focus on your mental health?
I like to do that really before the season even starts. I like to prepare myself with ahead of time mentally and physically. I like to tell myself, you're the only one out there. Forget the fans, forget anybody else. I practice that even now when I'm on the field by myself. I put myself in 3, 2, 1 scenarios, kick the ball before the time's up. I run from sideline to the ball and like I'm on game time scenario. I put myself in these scenarios that once game time comes, it's nothing new to me. It almost feels like I had already lived that moment in a way. So at the end of the day, I don't really feel the pressure as I used to anymore. But for sure, when it comes to the mental health aspect, I feel like I really truly do prepare myself. So I don't, like you said, you're always gonna hear the boos. If you miss a kick, nobody's perfect. I didn't miss some stuff. I've
Right.
heard some boos. That's all you do. That's like, come on, you can do better. I've
Right.
heard critiques. I heard people yell things out from the stands. And it's the crazy thing. It can come from your own school as well.
Yep.
Those type of things. So at the end of the day, you just got to block those things out and continue to move forward. That's all it is to it.
That's awesome. Yeah, and you're absolutely right. And also, when you look at it, it's like you're the one that's actually on the field, right? Everyone else is the
Of course.
spectators, the fans, but you're the one actually doing it. So it's like you have to put that in perspective. That it's like you have your teammates, your coaches, everyone else, your support system there, and that really helps you as you continue to strengthen that muscle of that mental aspect. Has there been any career moments that you kind of look back and reflect on and saying, that was just an awesome moment to just be able to have that, right? As you being, a kicker and a punter and, for Central State or even in the high school level, has there been anything that you kind of look back on and just really appreciate, sharing that moment?
Of course, yeah. I think I have two I would like to share with you, man. Early in the year, before I had got hurt, I remember playing against a top ranked, the number two ranked school in our like region wise. You know, it was Grayson High School. I was a junior, so it was a scrimmage. It wasn't even a for real game, but it was a scrimmage. You know, coaches want to try new things. They want to see how good you are. So they set me up for a 55-yard field goal right off the back. You know, I didn't practice this. I'm only a
Right.
junior. I'm up there now, but I didn't think I had that in me in a game. You know, all I seen was the snap, the hold, and the kick, and I just kicked it, followed through, and it was good. We
That's
were
awesome.
losing, but it was an amazing moment for me.
That's
Like
awesome.
I said, after that, I just felt like I had so much potential to grow for myself. Obviously the injury happened, and I feel like because of that moment, that's what helped me be determined and self discipline for myself. However, in college wise, I want to say last season when we played Kentucky State, it was such a close game. That's our rivalry when it comes to HBCU schools. That's our rivalry. So you're always hearing chatter, chatter, chatter. Um, so honestly, it just plays out like it did in my high school, except that we were tied, about to go tied going into halftime. They call me in for a field goal. We're up, we're up, going into halftime, and towards the end, we just need 1 point. That's all we need, 1 point. And I mean, there goes me, and just do what I got to do, like that mental, that physical health,
Yep.
everything is in there, and I took care of my business at the end of the day. So that's a moment, that's the first moment, college career wise, that I would take for myself for granted for sure.
That's incredible, man. And then Jose, I think just be able to have those type of accomplishments and continue to build off that. And it's you put it in perspective. It's something that you'll always be grateful for. And be able to share that, those experiences. And, I think another big aspect is the community giving back, right? You see the youth and the kids that look up to you as just being a football player, that they want to, look up to you as a role model. They want to, see what you do even off the field, and really look up to you as someone that can give them that good advice. How do you go about, giving back to the youth and the kids and everyone else that kind of looks up to you as a student athlete?
I look at that very serious. As much as I want to give back to, my original hometown, Atlanta, Georgia, it's
Yeah.
kind of hard when you're not here most of the time of the year. However, recently when we started our second semester here going into this year, earlier, like around January, I came up with an idea with my fellow teammates. I gathered a group of teammates, six offensive, six defensive players, and two coaches to come tag along with me. Um, it just played out. I wanted to do something for the Ronald McDonald House and Charity Center in Columbus, Ohio, and I wanted to give back to them. I wanted to provide goodie bags with snacks and a blanket for them. And we just went in there, talked to them. We Our main goal at the end of the day was just to put a smile on their face. The guys, a lot of the guys said, they don't really want to go, they don't really want to do that type of stuff. But it be the toughest guys that you realize, those are the guys that they want to give back more. They want to do more kindness of
Right.
things like that. It was an amazing experience for us and for myself. I didn't think I could pull it off considering, the COVID restrictions still up in Ohio. They're
Right.
still pretty up there, strict with COVID. I got, I remember calling like three different hospitals. They all said no to me. So it
Yeah.
was pretty tough finding the right one. And I remember Ronald McDonald House of Charity. They took me in pretty well. They showed me, they gave me a tour, and the day that it came, the kids were really excited. So that was pretty
It's
amazing.
awesome. It's
Yeah.
awesome. And it's so, incredible to be able to do that type of, experience for those kids, right? They are going to cherish that for the rest of their lives. And that type of impact, all it takes is, like you said, a few of your guys, your coaches to get together, go and do that, and really be able to give back, to the kids at the Ronald McDonald House. So I think, charity is such an important aspect that we even see and we value here at Burst, our partner platforms. And it's so big that, small things can make such a big difference in someone else's life. Right.
Right.
And I think that's what's just so incredible. Going off a little bit of you being a student athlete, the NIL has been such a hot topic, and really a huge moment of change in these past couple of years.
Yeah.
What was your initial reaction when you saw that you could really take full control of your own brand, and really set yourself up for a strong foundation, for success even after your playing days?
I think it's amazing. I think what people are doing with the NILs, well, mainly the student athletes. I think it's really amazing. People are networking most importantly, and they're communicating, and they're using more resources than what they used to back then. For young student athletes, of course, like I'm one of them. I know a lot of my friends that they got the craziest NIL deals, and it's pretty amazing. And you ask them how they do it. A lot of people like to say, "Oh, it's because the type of football player that he is." But I believe you don't always got to be the top guy football player to do it. If you know how to network and contribute to the community and how to talk your stuff honestly to these people who are doing the NIL deals, then I believe anybody has a fair chance to get that crazy NIL deal with whoever, honestly.
100%. And kind of just for our audience, what's been the craziest NIL deal, even if it's someone that you don't know that you've heard of, in this past, almost 2 years now?
Gatorade.
Gatorade.
Gatorade, yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's incredible just to see, even like, there's big companies, small companies, but, I think the biggest thing that we see is that, exactly to your point, Jose, you don't have to be that top athlete to go and get those different NIL deals. It's about networking. It's about building that actual relationship, because that's going to help you down the road, even when you're doing something that maybe it's not playing sports, maybe it's a different career, whatever path you take. It doesn't matter. It's about really creating your network, broadening your horizons, going into the other industries that you have interest in and you want to dive into further. It's really just about taking full advantage of your personal brand and the amount of networks and connections you can have with different companies and founders and CEOs, and so much more. It's just, there's so much more besides the surface level of you have to be a top athlete and then you'll get all these NIL deals. You can be the bottom of the totem pole and still be able to build your brand, in the right way.
Correct.
That's awesome, man. And so kind of what's kind of your big grand vision, with your career, as a student athlete right now, Central State University?
I'm majoring in psychology. Obviously, I want to think NFL, XFL, whatever pro football I can get into. That's the ultimate goal. However, I feel like God has our setbacks and has our tunnel vision our own way. So if that's not for me, I'll be satisfied with it. I have psychology as my major, and I really want to work with. I actually have a minor in sports management, and my major is realistically psychology. So I like to work with athletes as well with their mental health and the capacity of learning what's going on with them. We don't really talk about, and I feel like nowadays we really just don't talk about athletes and their mental health, whether it's high school, college, or even pro. I feel like that's something we're always going to need: someone to talk to, someone to mentor us, someone to just to lean on for the littlest things. And nowadays, into how the world is looking now, I just feel like that's something we can truly rely on. And honestly, if I could make a big impact on any athlete, because I'm an athlete now, and I know how tough things can get. With school,
Absolutely.
work, you just have responsibilities. You have a life outside of football, and not everything is just football. So
Right.
things can just sometimes go downhill, and all you need is someone to talk to. So if I could be that bigger person, that person in life, and talk to an athlete while they're in their season, that could be great for me.
I love it, man. I love it. And I think that's what a lot of, not a lot, but just I see some people from the outside perspective, they don't realize that, like, being an athlete, like you're more than just an athlete, right? You are a human being just like everyone else. You have, emotions and feelings, and you can go through the same stuff that someone that's not an athlete can go through. And like you said, to your point, mental health needs to be talked about more. It needs to be recognized that, there are resources, there's tools, there's people to go to that you can actually get help with. And I think it's just so important for everyone to take their mental health as serious as they take their physical health and anything else, right?
Right.
So I think you're spot on with everything you said on that. Kind of wrapping up here shortly, but besides football, what are some of your other hobbies or passions that you do when you do have some free time on your hands besides your respective sport and academics and everything else?
I really like to hike. Back in Ohio, it's not home, but
Right.
I like to you'll always find me at this waterfall. And just honestly, I don't want to say get my mental health right with it, but it takes me away from everything else. It takes me away from football, it takes me away from school, and it just helps me relax, here in the water, like just fall to the waterfall and just hike through them. It's like a little trail with mountains. It's
That's
it's
awesome.
amazing. I like to walk, run, lift weights, anything with that aspect, I can enjoy it for sure.
I love it. That's awesome. That's awesome. And Jose, wrapping up here, we always do this at the end of each episode. What would be 3 pieces of advice that you would give back to the next generation? You know, whether it's life lessons or skills that you've learned that you would give to them as they navigate through their own life journey.
Uh, just never settle for less, for real. You know, you're never gonna satisfy yourself, and even if you do, at the end of the day, you probably think you're done, but you're never really done. You always got to keep going. Not to mention, I think that being hungry all the time, being hungry, just attacking it, even when you're not feeling it. You know, we're gonna have dark moments in our lives, but it's about how you finish, not how you start. Um, and really just be yourself, and things are going to get done. Things are going to go your way. Maybe they're not, but if you truly want them to go your way and you attack it once again, I promise you're going to be successful.
I love it. That's awesome. And kind of just to recap everything you said, never settle for less. Always keep striving to be better. Better version of yourself. You said number 2 to really just stay hungry. And I think just that persistence and perseverance you've spoken a lot about with your own journey really can help a lot of other people to just keep going and pushing through. And then lastly, you said just be yourself. And I think that's so big, all 3 of those points, because that really ties into a lot of your journey and how you've been able to impact kids and the youth and everyone else that looks up to you. And I think it's just truly incredible. So thank you so much, Jose Terres here, for being on our episode number 36 of our podcast and Next Generation of Superstars. Make sure to follow Jose all over social media. Stay tuned for his release on Virtual Stacks next month as he releases his own digital trading card shares. And we're very grateful to have you on this episode, man.
Thank you.